Hello and welcome everyone. This presentation is given by Laura and me, and it's going to be about our Brooks Employability and Enterprise infographic that we've designed over the last year. The idea stemmed from a desire to try and communicate and visualize employment possibilities during any program, although we've piloted it on the UDP program, which you'll hear more about later. And we were fortunate enough to get an Access and Enterprise Fund funding from Brooks in 2019 to help develop the project to its finished state, which it's in now. So we'd like to explain how this project was developed, what the thinking behind it was, and to show you how it now looks in its finished format. So this next slide just explains what we were hoping to achieve with the project, and there are three main areas, as you can see. First of all, we wanted the timeline, as it came to be called. It shows a progress of employability participation events throughout the time that students are on their courses, undergrad courses. So we wanted this timeline to be part of quality assurance process, so that if every program can produce an infographic of their employability timeline, this could easily be put into validation documents, for example, having a dual effect of showing how employability is embedded in a program, and also being something that can be very readily compared between programs as well, in that it's in the same infographic. So that from the quality point of view, it is something that can very easily flag what's being done on a program, which is helpful for staff as well to see perhaps if there are any things lacking in the program that perhaps can be helped, or something that is in the program already but needs to be flagged more to the students. Secondly, in recruitment, we thought it would be a very useful tool to have in our recruitment process, to be used in open days. From the start, we wanted it to be very visually engaging, so something that applicants, parents, so on would draw their eye, and they would spend time looking at it. And again, it's something that can be compared between programs. So if parents or students were wanting to see what employment opportunities were available in two courses that they might be trying to choose between, it would be something that they could use in a very easy visual way. And thirdly, from the student satisfaction point of view, providing students with a framework to see how their self-development is running through their whole time at Brooks, and preparing for professional life. It is a journey that students undertake, the development and growing up that they do between first year and final year, and it's a useful way for them to mark along the way how they are evolving from sort of school leavers into people who will take part in professional life at the end of their degree, and be able to engage in these activities to develop various aspects of their professional selves.
Okay, so we thought of about talking a little bit about the process of the development of the project. So we started in 2019 with the grant from Brooks Enterprise, and it's been a cycle. We have started with a concept, thinking that we really wanted to give visibility to all the activities that were running within the curriculum, parallel to the curriculum. We tried to map the activities in a few programs, but we couldn't find where they were. So we started a series of discussions with lecturers amongst ourselves, BLTCs, and the students. In fact, this is a workshop that was run with the students from the BA in Urban Design, Planning and Development, which is the first course to pilot the timeline. And the students engaged with us since the beginning. So that's another aspect that we think can impact in the student satisfaction as well. The fact that they're not just going to receive this timeline, but they participate in the process of choosing the most relevant activities to populate the timeline. So the next slide just shows conceptualization of the process, because it hasn't been a linear process. We haven't started with a clear idea. We started with this almost like a dissatisfaction with the fact that we couldn't see where were the opportunities for our students to be trained or to get better prepared for employability. So we have discussed and developed the project, and then we brought in someone from graphic design as well to work with us, and the visuals of the project helped us to refine the timeline and the project in itself, the whole concept of the project. Because we, as soon as we saw the timeline first, which was a series of trump cards or something like that, we just thought, no, this is not going to work, and it's going to be very tasking on staff and the students. So it's been a cycle, and as a project that was developed by the PLSs, it's been quite interesting to follow, because we have learned on the way, and working with the students, with other lecturers, and with the graphic designer, we managed to refine the project.
As Laura's just been explaining, we had, I think, probably a series of light bulb moments through the process as it evolved to its final form. And this was one along the way when we thought, if we broadly classified what we meant by employability skills and enterprise opportunities, what did we actually mean by that, and also to keep those categories broad enough to be relevant to all sorts of different programs that students may be on. So we came up with these broad classification activities, which with the help of our graphic designer, we've color coded, as you can see there. And when you see the final version of what we've produced, you'll make sense of the coding and so on. But we came up with basically 4 activities that employment and enterprise activities could fall into. And we wanted to flag the fact very, very sort of visually that there are lots of different facets to employability skills. It's not just a single thing that you have to get better at during your university time. There are lots of different facets to it, and lots of different things will help towards employability. So for example, the employability and enterprise opportunities that programs might have, to help other programs think about what they do and what activities they may fall under. We've produced this slide is a resource that's available to people designing their own timeline. It's not something that goes into the timeline itself, but for example, to take field trips, they're about 2/3 of the way down. The type of activity there is engaging with the professions activity, and so program leaders could think about what field trips they do on their programs. For example, in construction, we have our major field trip for the second years is to the Netherlands, which is 5 days. Obviously that is a major field trip, but I'm sure many other programs do half-day or day ones as well. And then the column there for the evaluation and impact that activity has, and engagement incentives and so on. So this is really for as a sort of prompt, I suppose, for program leads who are trying to think what do they do within their programs that do actually hold some employability benefits and skills, and they can sort of bring those to the fore in thinking about these categories.
I mean, I guess another thing to say about this is that it's evolving, because as people come up with other activities, they can also populate this list, and becomes a bigger list that people can pick and choose to populate in their own program timelines. So I think the next bit then is to show you the final product, which is the timeline that we created to be piloted in the BA in Urban Design, Planning and Development. And as you can see, they're all color coded in relation to the four activity keys. And at the top of the line around here, you can see activities that are course specific. So for example, the end of year show, which is something very specific to the BA in urban design, or other courses as well, like the architecture, arts, etc. Introduction to e-portfolio, which is another activity that is very specific to the to this specific course. And under the line, below the line, sorry, there are other activities that offered university-wide, that students from this course would be able to attend. So there might be enterprise support initiatives like fuel awards or talks or workshops, hackathons, and etc. And then there are some other activities that are offered by the career services. There's one safe online identity, for example, which was a suggestion from one of the first year students, saying that they would like to have some guidance on how to change their identities online from being a school student to being a university student, being, you know, prepared to engage with employment. So this is how the timeline will look like for UGP, which is the abbreviation for the BA. And we have the activities distributed according to year 1, year 2, and year 3, the most relevant for each one of those years. And for example, we're not expecting the students to do all of the activities, but under the activity key, you can see there's a note saying expected to complete all these activities each year. So all the green activities would be the ones that the students would be expected to complete, all of them. The pink, the blue, the light blue, and the darker blue, they would be expected to complete just a few of them. And that will vary according to the programs and depending on the year as well. So it might be that they can pick and choose. This is not assessed, it's just a guidance for the students. So they know that if they engage with these activities, they will be better prepared for employment. Is there anything else you want to add on this slide, Lindsay?
No, I was just going to reiterate that point of expectation, that obviously all course leaders can set their own expectations, but it does help students who are in that sort of what am I supposed to be doing category. They can't really see why they need to do these things, or if they're keen to do something, they're not sure what they should be doing. So in dividing up the activities like that, it's very easy to set the expectations. So as Laura said, perhaps it's do all the green by the end of year 1, or do one pink and one blue by the end of year 2, or whatever. So it's a very easy message to deliver, which helps the students guide them through what they need to be doing.
And some of these activities will be inside of the curriculum, already being offered as part of a module. For example, there are mock interviews, for example, and some other ones are just parallel. And there are no, there's not a rule, you know, to conform those. It will depend on the program. So we then got hit by COVID as we developed the timeline, and we started thinking with the students as well, how could we deliver those activities if we are not able to meet in groups or in classrooms. And so this is it's just some screenshots from the BA in Urban Design YouTube channel. We have an unlisted YouTube channel, which is just for, actually, I'm just developing this. And the students actually suggested that it's a really good platform. They prefer this platform to anything else. They're very used to using YouTube. So we created a brand account according to Brooks IT guidance, which was very helpful. And one of our playlists is the timeline. So it's the B journey. It became a playlist. So there's one example here of a specialist talk, which would be one of this pink activities, engaging with the professions. It's already in there. So the students will be able to access the B Journey playlist and pick and choose the activities that they want to take part. And for example, if Careers is giving us a workshop on how to organize the CV, that workshop is then videoed and like this presentation that we are giving now, and then uploaded to our YouTube playlist. So that becomes really easy. And in fact, it becomes much more flexible, I think, than having to give everything on campus. So it solves all the main issues which we usually have with room bookings and all that. We have
yeah, and this is this again lies underneath the timeline. It's not something that is shown as part of it, but it's for the staff to use when they're creating their own timeline. So the UDP one that we've piloted it with, each of those coloured cards is actually an editable PowerPoint, and so we've given these short few instructions. It's really not difficult to edit it and amend it to suit any course. So again, with the designer that we had, we came up with this as being the simplest way of presenting it. So in PowerPoint, the text within each card can be amended to suit, and then obviously saved as a PDF and either printed out, used for open days, or put online. So this was really just a set of instructions for staff to follow, and we have tried to keep the process as absolutely simple as possible, so that it's not a very lengthy chore at all for whoever has to do this, whether it's a subject coordinator or program lead.
Yeah, we also, of course, because it's PowerPoint, it also opens on Google Slides, which now, for example, is crucial. I'm working from home and I don't have access to PowerPoint, but I can use Google Slides. So we, as Lindsay just mentioned, we try to create something that is very simple and very easy to adapt to different conditions, online or offline, and requirements from the program. So program leaders and subject coordinators would get the instructions, the template PowerPoint or Google Slide, and the access to this smorgasbord of activities.
And finally, to end with, this is our slide that I talked you through at the beginning. So now that we've been through the presentation, you'll be able to visualize now the timeline that we came up with, and how it can make an impact on these three key areas that I discussed at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think we just finish with a thank you, and
yes.
If you have any questions, we'll open for discussion, and we can also be contacted by email, and we are happy to discuss anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.